What's up, guys? It's Twice. I have another deck profile for you today. This is actually our team captain Cross's deck, and this is by far one of his favorite decks. In fact, this deck is probably what made this clan either his favorite or like his second or third favorite. I don't know. Cross has a lot of clans. Anyway, I really like this deck too. I think it's really interesting, and hope you guys enjoy. So we're gonna get right into it. This is going to be Cross's Genesis deck. More specifically, this is going to be Goddess of Good Luck Fortuna. So his starting Vanguard is Witch of Prohibited Books Cinnamon. So she's a Forerunner. Her ability is actually pretty useful, is that when she boosts an attack that hits a Vanguard during a battle, that she boosts a grade 3 Genesis Vanguard. So in this deck it's either going to be Himiko or Fortuna. You put her into the soul, and then you soul charge 2. So it's basically like soul charging 3 cards. She's really for no other purpose than having a 5k boost for your grade 1 and 2 Vanguards, and then soul charging for your grade 3, because she's really helpful for setting up the break ride especially. But now I'm just going to go into the triggers. So I'm surprised he's not running a more offensive build, but for right now, Cross is running 6 crit, so 2 Cyber Tiger, and then the card you put into the soul, and it gets +3. And then, of course, alongside that, he's going to be running 6 draw, especially fancy fucking monkey, because, I mean, look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's so fancy. Look at him. Look at those fruits. He's so fancy. I don't know. He's a funny looking card. Yeah, so 6 crit, 6 draw. At times it takes a little offense away from the deck, but in general it actually makes the deck a lot better because the hand control is freaking incredible. And he's able to replace rear guards pretty easily with it, so I think it's worked out pretty well. And then of course he's just running for Witch of Big Pots, Lore. Alright, on to the grade 1s, so kind of standard for most Genesis decks, but for Fortuna especially. So he's going to be running 4 Witch of Cat humans for no other purpose than she's a 7k booster that soul charges when you place her. That's pretty much it. Running 4 of her is pretty good. Just, if you really just need a soul charge, you can place her on the Vanguard as your nice grade 1 ride and immediately get a soul charge. So, it's just really for the sake of consistent soul charges. And then alongside those, he's got 3 of the 8k vanilla, whose name is too long for me to even try to pronounce. A nice booster, especially with Himiko. If there's like a 10k Vanguard that you might face, she boosts for a nice 20 for Himiko. And, she adds a nice boost to like any, 9k, whatever. For Witch of Owls Paprika, which I'll show you right now, he does run in the deck. Paprika is the card where if your Vanguard has limit break, it swings for 11. So putting the 8k behind her means that she swings for 19, so you can kill any pesky 9k rearguard that your opponent might have. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. Alright, then moving on, he of course runs, this is one of my favorite cards in the entire deck, Witch of Frogs, Melissa. So what Melissa's skill is, it's actually pretty simple. When she's put into the drop zone from the soul, you can counterblast 1 card, and then you can call her to the rearguard. She's a nice, solid 7k booster. So she's kind of like, if your rearguards are empty and you really just need to fill them up really fast, then you Soul Blast this, because you don't have to Soul Blast specific cards, unlike Soul Charging, which is random. So when you do that, it's much easier to like refill your rearguards. This thing is really nice to use against decks, especially like Eradicators, which sometimes I'll use this deck and then he'll use his Eradicator deck, so I like using this card to, just replace all the rearguards I may have lost from those Eradicator units. And then, of course, our whole team follows the motto, in a world of cross rides, break rides, cross break rides, you always run 4 perfect guards. And in this case, you run the cutest of all perfect guards, Goddess of Self-Sacrifice, Kushinada. I swear Cross is just in love with that card. He loves this card. I don't blame him. Artwork is amazing. Alright, moving on to the grade 2s. So, he runs 4 Battle Maiden Sakugime. She's kind of like Emblem Master, in that when she hits a Vanguard, you kind of lost 1 and Soul Charge 3. Running 4 is just for the sake of, having more cards that can Soul Charge from the deck. There's a lot of options for Genesis. The Myth cards can actually be pretty interesting for power cards, but in this case you want as many cards as you can Soul Charge as possible because of Fortuna's limit break. So running 4 is, again, just for the sake of consistency. And then he runs, of course, alongside that, like I said, the 4 Witch of Owls Paprika. This is one of the few power cards that Genesis has right now until the Regalias come out, which is really their only archetype, if you really want to call it an archetype at all. I mean, they've got, like, 4 cards, I think. Well, they've probably got more than that, but they're not like a legit like ancient dragons or like celestials or anything like that kind of archetype. So for right now, this card works pretty well. It's the same thing as the Charging Bill Collectors in JD's Spike Brothers deck. It's a card that swings for solid power. It's 11k. You encounter 11k Vanguards all the time now. So yeah. And then finally for the grade 2 lineup, he runs, of course, Witch of Raven's Chamomile. So, Witch of Raven's Chamomile is the exact same thing as Melissa, in that when she's placed into the drop zone from the soul, you counterblast 1 and call her. This deck is not counterblast heavy by any means, so using these cards is just really easy. I've been in a situation before where I was using this Fortuna deck and he was using his Liberators, I think, and I soul blasted a Chamomile and 2 Melissas, and counterblasted 3 and then filled my rear guards again. So it was just really easy to just kind of like get my full field back so I could attack once more. And that didn't win me the game, but it just adds more pressure to your opponent. It just keeps you on par. It's a good response to decks that are specialized in eliminating rear guards. And then on to the grade 3s. So of course, for right now at least, maybe until Angelica comes out, he runs 4 Oracle Queen Himiko. Break Ride is pretty simple. You Break Ride, you give 2 rear guards plus 5k, so that's kind of like Gantz a lot. And then when your Vanguard attacks, you Soul Blast 3 cards and then draw a card. So Genesis that's where their Oracle Think Tank-ish style comes, in that it's all about drawing cards, kind of, but you Soul Blast as your main source of cost. And that's why this deck isn't Counterblast heavy. And then you're giving the +5 to the rear guards, that's kind of just to give you some more offense. So Genesis does a little bit of everything. They have Vanguards that restand. They have Vanguards that, do not do other drive checks, of course, like Fortuna. And then, they have cards like Artemis who gain power and let you draw. It's a very diverse clan, and I guess that's why Cross likes it so much. I like especially cards like Yatagarasu because I like to restand my units, which is why I like things like Nova Grappler. So I like Himiko. I think Himiko's a really good break ride, especially in combination with, of course, the deck's boss card, one of my favorite cards for Genesis, and that is Goddess of Good Luck, Fortuna. Fortuna's limit break is also pretty simple. So when she attacks, and you do your drive check, if you reveal a grade 1 or higher, so it can't be a trigger, you can Soul Blast 3 cards, put the unit that you just drove check into the drop zone, and then perform another drive check. So, I mean, that's kind of where her name, Goddess of Good Luck Fortuna, comes in, and that you're trying to get another trigger. That's the entire idea behind it. So, soul charging with things like cumin, or cinnamon, or any of those cards early on to build up that soul, so that you can just throw trigger after your opponent, makes this deck a lot more competitive. There's been times where he has drove check a grade 1 that he didn't need, so he Soul Blast, puts in the drop zone, gets a crit trigger, I think it was, and then gives it to one of his rear guards, and then on his second check, he got a grade 3, Soul Blasted, and then gets another critical trigger. So that's exactly the kind of situation that you want to get, and that's exactly what Fortuna gives you. She lets you make your own luck, kind of, so that plays into that mentality. Anyway, I like this deck a lot. I really like Genesis. It's a pretty interesting clan, and I think this deck it's just really fun to use. That's pretty much it. Anyway, so hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great day. Keep card fighting. We'll see you next time.